somewhere in the near future, we are going to be working with this limit a lot. It means something amazing. There's going to be a really, really awesome lesson for you that hopefully will be sufficiently mind-blowing in terms of what this limit lets us do. But it's a complicated limit, and so before I teach you what it means, I want us to learn how to do it. I want us to be really good at just evaluating this limit so that when we get to the meaning, being able to evaluate is easy. You'll have done it tons of times. Right? This is not a limit that you need to memorize right now. Whenever I ask these questions, they're going to be provided for you. So I have one example of this. You'll get some more chance to practice them tomorrow during class. So here's this example. I want us to evaluate this limit, the limit that I just mentioned, this specific, meaningful, amazing limit, for the function f of x equals 3 minus x squared. Now, you may remember from a few days ago, I actually had you do this part. I had you sort of simplify this thing for this. And now I'm just sort of putting a limit into it. So you may remember the tactic that I gave you for simplifying this thing. And that tactic was sort of like just take a second and write down, what is f of x plus h? What does that mean? And so I want you to pause the video now and think, how would you write down what f of x plus h is? Hopefully what you remembered is that it means you take this function, and anywhere that you see an x, you plug in x plus h. So that means I'm going to have 3 minus x plus h squared. And I could even simplify that. I'm going to skip some steps here. This is going to be 3 minus x squared minus 2xh minus h squared. If you don't see where that came from, pause the video and take time to FOIL this out, then distribute the negative through it, and you'll see that this is what you're going to end up with. Okay? So now, I'm going to take this expression, and I'm going to put it right where it says f of x plus h. Then I'm going to take this expression, 3 minus x squared, and put it right where it says f of x. And I'm going to get this horrible mess of an equation, but some really, really pretty things are going to happen. So let's be brave and take a look. If you're feeling really brave, try it on your own. If you're feeling less brave, just follow carefully and know that you'll need to do it on your own tomorrow in class. So let's see here. I have the limit as h approaches 0 of 3 minus x squared minus 2xh minus h squared, then minus, and the parentheses are important, minus parentheses 3 minus x squared. Okay? And this is all over h. And again, this looks like a disaster, but I promise nice things are going to happen. So this will now be the limit as h approaches 0. So what should we do to simplify this? I sort of feel like in the numerator we've got our 3 minus x squared minus 2xh minus h squared. And then if we were to distribute this negative through, we'd end up with minus 3 plus x squared, and it would all be over h. And at this point, you start to notice that some neat things are happening, right? Like for instance, there's a 3 and a minus 3 in the top. For that matter, there's a minus x squared and a plus x squared in the top. So this whole monstrosity of an expression, of a limit, seems to turn into just the limit as h approaches 0 of negative 2xh minus h squared all over h. And now, this limit is sort of just like the stuff we were doing on the previous page. How do we evaluate any limit ever? Our strategy for now is attempt to plug in that number. So I'm going to attempt to plug this 0 in for h. When I plug in 0 to all these places, surprise, surprise, the limit approaches 0 over 0. So how do I handle that? Well, I factor, right? I can factor that h out of the numerator. I can end up with the limit as h approaches 0 of h times negative 2x minus h all over h. Well, how surprising. These h's actually eliminate one another, and all I have left is the limit as h approaches 0 of negative 2x minus h. So now what do? Now I'm supposed to evaluate again. Try plugging in that 0 again. This time when I plug it in, it totally works. When I plug in 0 for this h, I end up with negative 2x. That's amazing to me because I know what it means. You guys may not know what it means yet, but still, we took this horrible, horrible expression up here, and this one's not even that bad. We took this crazy thing here, and it turns out that when we simplify that all the way down, it turns out that limit is equal to negative 2x. Like I said, in a few days or maybe in a week or maybe two, we'll get a picture of what this really means, and it'll be amazing. For now, we're just practicing the mechanics. So good luck with those problems. Don't give up on them. This is a chance for you to practice your perseverance and not giving up in problem solving and simplification.